I have died 1,014 times. Shot, burned, crushed, suffocated, frozen, and once, just once, I died of old age. That was clone number 407. They let that one retire as an experiment. Every other time, I woke up in the vat with wet skin and the taste of copper in my mouth, and every single death still fresh in my head. They said the memory bleed was a glitch. I think they left it on purpose. A soldier who remembers dying fights harder than one who doesn't. The program was called Lazarus. Military designation, persistent combatant regeneration. The pitch was simple: take your best soldier, copy him, when the copy dies make another one, infinite soldiers from a single template. What they didn't mention in the funding proposal was what happens to the template, me, Sergeant First Class Daniel Voss, serial number 774-091, the original. Every clone gets flash-trained with my skills, my reflexes, my muscle memory. But somewhere around clone 50, the memory partitions started leaking. I started waking up with dreams that weren't dreams, they were deaths. Clone 12 burned to death on Kepler, I can still feel it. Clone 31 was shot through the eye at close range. I know exactly what that looks like from the inside. By clone 100, I stopped sleeping entirely. They sent my clones everywhere, every front, every conflict, every suicide mission that no sane commander would approve. Clone 208 cleared a bunker by walking in with a grenade in each hand and no intention of walking out. Clone 319 held a bridge for 6 hours against an armored column. Alone, he knew he was going to die. They all knew. And every time one of them died, I felt it, not a simulation. The actual experience of dying uploaded into my brainstem while I slept. The doctors said it was impossible. They said the clones were separate entities. They were wrong. I can tell you exactly what clone 512 was thinking when the building collapsed on him. He was thinking about a girl named Sarah who he never met because I met her 20 years ago. By clone 600, Command started to notice that my clones were fighting differently. Better, much better. Clone 604 survived a mission calculated as 0% survival probability. He came back without a scratch. They studied him. His reflexes were normal. His strength was normal, but his instincts were supernatural. He knew where the ambush was before it happened. He knew which corridor was mined. He knew exactly when to duck. It took them 3 weeks to figure out what I had known since clone 100. My clones were learning from each other's deaths. Every death I experienced taught me something, and that knowledge transferred to the next clone. 1,000 deaths worth of combat intuition packed into a single soldier. They weren't creating disposable troops. They were training the perfect warrior one death at a time, and the tuition was my sanity. Clone 777 was the first one to refuse orders. He was told to assault a fortified position. He looked at the tactical display, looked at his commanding officer, and said no, not because he was afraid. A man who has died 776 times does not experience fear in any meaningful way. He said no because he had died assaulting that exact type of fortification 6 times before and knew it was pointless. He offered an alternative. The commander insisted. Clone 777 walked out of the briefing room, implemented his own plan, took the position with 0 casualties, and filed a formal complaint about incompetent leadership. You can't court-martial a clone. You can't threaten a man with death when he's already died 776 times. What are you going to do? Kill him? He'll be back in the vat by morning with everything he learned. They shut down the program after Clone 1000, not because of the ethics. They shut it down because Clone 1000 scared them. Clone 1000 walked off the transport onto a contested planet, alone, without backup, and pacified the entire continent in 72 hours, not through violence, through prediction. He knew every possible human combat strategy because he had died to all of them. He knew every alien tactic because he had died to those too. He could predict what an enemy would do 3 moves before they did it because somewhere in 1,000 lifetimes of combat, he had seen every variation of every decision. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He was something else, something that understood war so completely that he could end it without fighting. That terrified them more than any weapon ever had. I'm still here, the original Daniel Voss. I sit in a room in a facility that doesn't have a name and I remember everything. 1,014 lives, 1,014 deaths, I know what it feels like to burn, to freeze, to drown, to be torn apart. I know what it feels like to die of old age, peaceful in a bed with sunlight on my face. That was the worst one, because that's the one that felt like it should have been real. They offer me medication, therapy, memory suppression. I refuse all of it, not out of pride, because somewhere out there, 1,000 copies of me lived and died, and the least I can do is remember them. Every single one. They were all me. They were all afraid, and they all fought anyway. I owe them that. I owe them the memory of every death they died so that I didn't have to, so I sit here, and I remember all of it.